Sheila, look, I know I'm not an Albertan anymore, even though I feel in many ways that I am. But you are, and you have a foot in agriculture, and you have a foot in oil, and you have your finger on the pulse, and you're in the north of the province when we have reporters in the south. I don't know if I'm being dramatic, but I think that if Alberta goes to NDP again, it will forever deracinate the province. It will change the province from a free place to just another Canadian Trudeaupian province. That's what I'm afraid of. But I'm here in Toronto. What do you say out there in Alberta?
Yeah, we may as well name the place Toronto West, because we will have leadership here that will put up no objections to all the terrible things that Justin Trudeau wants to do to agriculture, through his fertilizer targets, to oil and gas, through his net zero goals and his attempts to phase everything out, gun grab. I mean, you look at the things that Justin Trudeau is doing as part of his liberal agenda. They are all focused like a laser beam on the culture of the West. And he sees us as culturally incompatible with him. And we know, to predict future behavior, you only have to look at past behavior. And Rachel Notley rolled over every time Justin Trudeau wanted to do something to Alberta. She brought in a carbon tax before he did. As something she never campaigned on. She never pushed back on any of the pipeline cancellations because that's what she wanted too. She didn't want Keystone XL done. In fact, one of her first acts after becoming premier here was to recall our energy ambassador. We had somebody who was working in Washington to lobby on behalf of the Canadian oil and gas sector, which is, I guess, the fiduciary duty of the Alberta government, because it's their job to market this thing that we all own. She recalled him right away and fired him, Rob Merrifield. And so there will be a repeat of this. I've spoken to people, and our old reporter, Holly Nicholas, was one of these people. In the days and weeks and months after the NDP were elected, I think totally cumulatively, it was close to 200,000 jobs lost. I think 185 to like 190,000 jobs that were lost as a direct result of the attack on the energy sector. And it was bad in downtown Calgary. Holly told me these stories, and she was one of them, where you would look out your office window in the morning and it would just be a lineup of cabs and people coming down from the head offices with their belongings and getting in the cabs every day. It was like 800 jobs here, 400 jobs here. ConocoPhillips leaving, and TC Energy changing their name, and Houston Energy leaving. It was just constant. It was hard to keep up with. We will return to that in the middle of an economic recovery.
Yeah, that's shocking. There was a brief hope in 2015 when Rachel Notley was elected that she would be a good kind of NDP. And some people would say, no such thing. Well, Saskatchewan had NDP governments for so long. Their last government, if I'm remembering correctly, was a premier named Roy Romanoff, who actually balanced the budget, actually allowed some free market health care, actually I of course supported
with no choice, quite frankly, where the place was headed towards bankruptcy, and there was an absolute influx of people from Saskatchewan into Alberta. That was the joke at the time, is everybody in Alberta was from Saskatchewan. Roy Romanow was even forced to close hospitals, the rural hospitals, to balance the budget.
And I'm not saying he was great, but people said, but he didn't have the cultural extremism. Like, that's another thing. Rachel there's different streams of New Democrats. There's that prairie farmer, grassroots, Tommy Douglas, Bill Aberhart strain, but there's this new woke university faculty lounge strain. And the funny thing is, Rachel Notley's dad, Grant Notley, was an old school New Democrat, sort of a little bit working class, a little bit bookish. But Rachel Notley is full identity politics. You're a hate criminal, racial this, gender that. And just, she is not a Roy Romanow. She is not a Grant Notley. She is a destroyer akin to Trudeau. I can't, to this day, I can't think of a single thing she stood up to Trudeau on, even verbally. Even just to say, hey, man, stop doing that, let alone challenging anything in court.
No, absolutely not. And even just more close to home. I mean, moreover, to your point, Rachel Notley is a university socialist. That's where her riding is. She's just surrounded by, the left-wing wokeism 20-somethings. That's where her riding is. It's the most progressive part of Edmonton, which is the most progressive city in all of Alberta. As Ralph Klein said, a nice place with too many socialists and mosquitoes. That's an evergreen statement that will never go away. But even closer to home, one of the harshest locker downers was Rachel Notley. I recall her saying that it is time to seize Grace Life Church, shut it down, go in there. Before the RCMP ever did, before Jason Kenney ever did, she was cheering for the arrests of pastors. Jason Kenney was bad, terrible. I mean, it was a civil liberties bonfire in Alberta constantly, and all we could do every single day was just run up and pour a cup of water on it in our own little way. But Notley would have been so much worse.
Yeah.
We'd still be wearing masks.
Yeah.
We'd still have vaccine mandates.
Yeah.
Every single person who objected or honked their horn would still be in jail.
That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. We rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.